very, very few mothers would have made the decision that your mother made.
I was very excited when I found out I was pregnant once again. And Yuri at that time was only 5 months old, still quite a preemie, as he was born 10 weeks early.
Since she was pregnant again pretty close to the time that she had just had her last pregnancy, and because that last pregnancy had been a bit on the involved side, we thought that it might be a great idea for her to see again this phenomenal doctor that was in the city, Dr. Chervenak, who was a specialist high-risk doctor, just for precautionary reasons that she should go in and see him for an early scan, just to make sure that there wasn't anything that we were missing, that everything was on target the way it should be.
Went first to have the woman who did the scans for him, and she took a long time doing that scan.
I was very, very concerned, because when there's not fluid around the fetus at this age, the outlook is very, very bad.
Just before we left, Toba asked him, is there anything that could be done? And I remember he turned to us and he said that I'm a doctor and this is the prognosis. I've been doing this for many, many years and it doesn't look good. But I remember him pausing and saying, but I'm only a doctor and miracles could happen. That night, after we came home, we went to the oil. And in writing in the diagnosis that we had received, part of the note was that the doctor had mentioned that he's only a doctor and that miracles could happen. So that's where we were. If we were zeichet a miracle, we were hoping for one.
3 weeks later, we went back to meet Dr. Chervenak at Cornell Hospital. Sure enough, we go into Dr. Chervenak's office and he tells us,
I don't know of a similar case like this, because when there's this decreased fluid and it persists, that's why I wanted a second visit, to make sure it wasn't transient, something that was down and would get better. But it persisted, and don't forget, this was at a critical point in gestation. This wasn't at the end of gestation, which happens not infrequently, but at this time in gestation, the lung was forming. So it was at a critical time. I was very, very, very guarded. And that was what the medical facts indicated.
And he basically said to us, it's just a matter of days, really just days.
She came in and there was just a very small fluttering of a heartbeat. This is pretty inevitable now.
It was during that same time period that our dear friends Marcy and Jeff Lefkowitz were also expecting a baby.
And we used to go to the OHEL quite frequently. I remember, just as we always do, ask for the names. I would always add your family to the names, but I said especially I wanted to have a special thought for Toba and for you and for the baby. Little did I know that what was going on, with Tobalea and with the baby.
Someone who davens on behalf of somebody else, their tefillos are answered.
So then she came in for her next visit, remarkably like 3 weeks later or so, and her belly had grown. I remember thinking, well, this is strange, I wonder how this uterus of hers has grown now. And there was a heartbeat there, so we did a quick ultrasound, and I remember being completely floored. I thought that what I was seeing could not be what I was actually seeing. I thought, wow, she has to go up to the hospital right away. She has to be seen by the high-risk doctors at St. Barnabas right away.
Then I saw your daughter, and the fluid was normal. And that never happens. We never see no fluid at 22, 24 weeks and then normal fluid.
But then he called us into his office and sat us down, and he went through the prognosis at that point, which he felt was very challenging.
She was counseled about the poor prognosis regarding eventual neonatal outcome.
This fetus is significantly growth restricted, and there's high likelihood that there will be long-term complications from these findings.
So I said, let's just keep going. Let's just keep watching. And the baby grew and grew, and the health parameters, the Dopplers, which are like blood pressure readings, the activity level was normal, and it just kept getting better and better.
I just remember the process and speaking with Dr. Smith, and he also said throughout the whole thing, we don't know how this is happening. We have no idea. I've never seen that scenario with this outcome.
I would go back several times a week to have a sonogram done, and every time I would ask, is there fluid? And he would say, yes, there's fluid. And I would ask, what does it look like? And he really wouldn't answer. All he would say is, someone's watching over you.
You know, Dr. Smith really didn't want her to go all the way, of course, to her due date, thinking that each and every week that she continued to be pregnant and that things continued to look positive was a tremendous blessing, and that it shouldn't be pushed too long.
I came in on a Thursday, and the next day I would have been 36 weeks. So Dr. Smith said that, you know, the baby's breech and I need you to come in tomorrow for a C-section. So of course I pushed my luck. I had 8 natural deliveries and I did not want a C-section. And I also didn't want to go in on a Friday where all the kids are home from school. So I begged him if I could come back Sunday evening. And of course he said, okay, but you better show up on Sunday night. So of course Elle and I went that night once again to the aisle to daven. And of course we davened for a healthy baby. And of course I davened that the baby should turn. And that really everything should go okay.
So we're in the delivery room, and of course there's an entire team. There's a team from the NICU, there's anesthesia present, there are other physicians and doctors present, an entire team. And then sure enough, the baby should turn. The last possible moment that something yet again positive should happen.
At 8:11 in the morning on 7/11, our little Princess Liba was born.
After the baby was born, they sent the placenta away to be tested, and the results of the testing was that the placenta wasn't viable for pregnancy.
My fellow ultrasound techs were talking to me and they said, what? She's here? She's 12 years old? How's that possible? And I said, God.
I know her from before she was born, and she's really a miracle baby.
Thank God. Hashem listened to my prayers too.
Toba never lost her hope and her faith.
I have never seen this since or before that incident. And it really is a miracle. It's a gift from God.
Mazel tov.
I was shocked to hear the outcome in a good way, a shock, a pleasant surprise. And that's why when I learned this and saw the baby and held the baby, I wanted my whole team to learn.
I'm so happy with this beautiful celebration on this happiest of birthday to 2 wonderful parents. It shows how prayer is important. Your prayers are powerful. I have nothing, you made my day, my week,
my month, my year, with this beautiful, beautiful story of goodness. Thank you.